My friends, I am so excited for you to meet one of my superstar friends from across the pond, as they say, and learn more and more about her. Welcome to Cathy Chat. Carolyn Hobbs, Queen of Cards, Carolyn's Chit Chat. Your list of accomplishments and accolades are getting longer and longer and longer every day, my friend. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to have a Cathy chat with you.
Absolutely. Carolyn has been one of our superstar regulars for the Monday morning posting party. And when all of a sudden I see this fabulous bubble pop up on your Zoom background and it says Carolyn's Chit Chat, and I was like, oh my gosh, it looks like you have a podcast. And so I was so excited to be able to be a guest on Carolyn's Chit Chat, and then certainly to have you back on Cathy Chat sounds like the best idea in the whole world. I'm so excited for our friends to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Please tell me, how, let's even talk in terms of Carolyn's card box. How did that start? And then what did that evolution look like to get to your own show?
Well, originally, when I first started, it was multi-level marketing.
Okay.
So going back to 2006, when I first started, and I got, just to track back, I got married in 1997. And we had moved from his marital home to another home. And I went along to a show. It was a horse show. And there was a lady there in the craft tent, and she had all these lovely cards, and they were fabulous. The designs were brilliant. And I asked her some questions and said, "Oh, do these happen to be designed by British artists and made in here?" Yes, that's what it's all about, and so on and so forth. And so I said, "Could I take some details?" So I took some details, and I had to think about it, and I signed up, much to my husband's disgust, I might say. He was not happy at all because, as far as he was concerned, you lived in each other's pockets. Well, that wasn't my view at all. So there was that. So he gave me permission to go out to do different craft fairs and things. So I didn't really need the permission. I was going to go anyway. But there we go. And so
Your
yes, that's.
personality is so fantastic, honestly. You can just see your personality through the screen. Keep going.
uh, And so yes, I just sort of toodled off to craft fairs and started booking up places to go to sell the cards. There were a few people in the village where we lived, so I got a few customers along the way in the village, and it sort of grew and grew and grew. And then, so that started out as a company called Phoenix Trading. And they had started in the early 2000s, and there were I think three or four directors that started the company. Well, no, one lady started the company round her dining room table with two other ladies, and really that's how it started. They designed some cards, and they started selling them. And that fundamentally was how the company started. And so, sort of as years went by, things were good, and all of a sudden things weren't so good. They had actually gone into America, which they think was the point where, because different states have different rules and regulations and so on with regards to this, that, and the next thing. I don't know the ins and outs of it all, but it was complex. And so I think probably maybe that was one of the things that started the downfall. I'm not sure. But anyway, a few years
Yeah.
went on and they went into administration, sadly. Then after that, the three of the directors, they stayed together. They wanted to start up again, same business model. So that company was Flamingo Papery, and we were flying. Lockdown happened. Sales went through the roof because all the other companies, the shops were shut. Nobody could buy anything, so they were all instructed to pulp all the cards. And yes, it was going great. And then 2022 came. Now it hasn't been said as such that it was because of the postal strikes in 22 that things didn't go right. but people didn't buy as much then. And what they used to do at Christmas season, they used to donate £10,000 to split between three charities.
Wow.
Um, they'd done that a lot, and not that any accelerator or foot was taken off the accelerator at all, but the numbers were a lot lower than expected, and they tried and tried and tried to pull it back, and eventually they couldn't pull it back anymore. And I mean, they did all the due diligence and everything, and they had a huge sale to sell some stock, so to pay the creditors and so on. And very sad. And they ceased trading May 23.
Oh,
So yeah, so there were about 5,000 of us, I think. So we were all independent, self-employed people. And of course, when we used to pay a yearly fee, or whatever you like to call it, and within that fee was a website. So we carried on using the website. I can't remember how long for, but we all had to sort of think very fast on our feet. And so yes, it was a bit of a shock. Some people got to the end of that year and decided that they were going to retire. Other people wanted to carry on. I carried on, just because I wanted to carry on. I enjoy selling cards, and so I just carried on and thought of different things that I could do, i.e. the writing services for people. And yeah, and it then evolves into something else. So it becomes your own. And that's when Flamingo Papery started, I then rebranded as Carolyn's Cardbox and ran a competition. And actually a local customer and friend won the competition, and she won some cards as a sort of a prize. But yes, that's the sort of story about how that all was, and it still continues today, of course.
and then how did the evolution of Queen of Cards become your title?
Well, so it was Sean Hewitt from the Trusted Business Association, and he obviously knew I sold cards, and he said, "Yeah, we really need to think up a title for you to put on LinkedIn," and he came up with Queen of Cards. He said, it couldn't be anything else but, so that's what it is, and that's what stuck.
I love it so much. And then, of course, your tagline is world renowned. Tell our friends what is your tagline for Carolyn's Card Box.
So let the cards fall where they may.
Absolutely. Once again, stick, 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 and people remember you that way.
Mm.
Now, I would imagine for many of my friends watching today on Cathy Chat, they might be able to tell that your accent and mine are not the same. Are you actually not from Kansas City?
No, funnily enough, funny you should mention that. No, I'm from the UK. So I come from a place called Witham, which is between the cities of Chelmsford and Colchester. Colchester's the oldest city in the UK. Goes back to yes, lots of things happened, and they've doing all sorts of digs and archaeological stuff and finding all sorts of bits and pieces there. So I haven't really done my research into that, but it's a very old city. And yes, so that would be about 40 or 50 miles northeast of London.
Are you a history buff?
Not particularly. My late father was, but I have an interest. I failed my history miserably at school.
Yes,
But
I
my late,
understand that.
yeah, well, I wasn't, I'm not particularly good at remembering what I read. Talk for England, but can't, I do read, but not read a lot. And so I go more by visual. So when I was, must have been when I was, I don't know, 14 or 15, my late father took us to a place called South Cadbury, which is in Somerset, and which is near Glastonbury, which a lot of people around the world have heard of. It's the place of white witches and all that sort of ceremonies and that sort of thing, and the Glastonbury Festival. And the what was I saying?
The
God,
history buff part.
oh yes. So we went to South Cadbury, and it's sort of this mound, and so we walked up a very steep hill, and there was an archaeologist there called Sir Mortimer Wheeler, who was extremely famous for his knowledge and history, and anybody can look their name up, and reams will come up about him. And they were doing an archaeological dig on the top of South Cadbury, and it was King Arthur's roundhouse or longhouse. And so you could see the post holes, you could see the length of the hole, the width of it, you could see where the tracks went round. So you normally have the horse and carts that go round, and you have their tracks, so you have a sort of gate post, and you can see that. You could just imagine the horse carts going along it. So I could draw you a picture of that like it was yesterday. But to tell you what was on page 30 of my history book, I forget it.
Yeah, no, no can do. Yeah, I understand.
No.
I understand that. Well, first of all, as I said, it is such a pleasure to have you on Cathy Chat and to be able to see you every single week at these posting parties and to learn more about you and to watch your growth has been so amazing for me, and certainly for your enhancements, shall we say, of your LinkedIn profile. That has been fun to watch as well. But I also am noticing something very amazing called a YouTube channel. And I see that you actually have on your Zoom background a QR code that takes us to your YouTube channel. I need to know how that piece came about.
Well, that didn't come about really until Chit Chat
Okay.
happened, which was in April of this year. So it's not long, really. And I believe, I haven't checked it today, but I believe that you had a look the other day and there were nearly 11,000 views, but I haven't checked it today.
Isn't that
So,
the most exciting thing to think
yeah.
that I have a YouTube channel? And it's like, what? Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. Tell our friends a little bit about what you use your YouTube channel for. What does it do?
Well, fundamentally, it's for Carolyn's Chit Chat. And I post up. So I've got 97 videos that I posted up.
Wow.
And I have on my Chit Chat podcast, I have 37 episodes.
I'm screaming. I am screaming, and I mean that with all my heart. So let's back up just a second and find out how Carolyn's Chit Chat came to be, because I know when I first met you, you didn't have a podcast.
No, I didn't have a podcast. I went to a workshop. Now, it was our Special K, Kurt Roskoff, who invited me along to a podcast workshop with Steve Romana, who's in the States.
Yes.
And I went along and just to get some more information and just to see, because I had another idea for a podcast, because I did do something earlier in the year, and I didn't follow through with that. I had an other idea to use my photography,
Oh,
but
wow.
rather than do anything else. But that was going to get rather complicated, and a little bit costly. So I've backburnt that at the moment. And so we were just sort of chatting at this workshop, ideas and other people that were on there. I don't know, there weren't very many people on there. And he said, well, why don't you just do it? And I thought, well, yeah, I'd been procrastinating about a name. And so after that week, I decided, right, I had a look, I had a few ideas. And so I came up with this one. And then somebody, after I'd announced it and did everything, oh, well, somebody's already got that. I said, yes, they have, but it's hyphenated. Chit chat is hyphenated, so mine's different. So there we go. I'm not changing it now. It's staying as it is. And I think her podcast is finished. So I had nothing to worry about really. So yes, that's how it was born. And I just sort of gone. He said, "Well, just do it." So I did, and taking other information that your kind self gave me, in saying, well, one-to-ones are a podcast in themselves. So just record that and put it on YouTube. So there we go. That's how it all came about.
I love that concept altogether, of course, and to be able to actually do a one-on-one and let other people hear about it is pretty cool. But I happen to know, since I got to be on Carolyn's Chit Chat, that you have a teensy bit of a different format than a lot of the podcasters out there. Tell us about that.
It's not about business. And I ask one question, and I'm not telling you what the question is. You know the question, but anybody that would, and I have people come to me and saying, "Can I be on your podcast, please?" And I need to prepare for it. What's the question? I said, well, I'm afraid I don't tell you the question. That doesn't happen until I press the record button, and you don't need to prepare for it. And they all look at me in amazement, thinking, what the heck's all this about? But all I'm saying is it's not about business. That's it.
Absolutely. And what was the catalyst for you to do a not about business podcast?
Well, the whole point of connecting with people is to find out about them. And you can tell an awful lot about somebody, how they are outside of business and how they're going to perform and treat people, and how they put themselves over in business, how they act outside of business.
Isn't that an interesting thing when we talk, everyone that's in the networking world talks about building relationships and don't sell anything and just let's talk about building relationships. But for me, it literally is a matter of I want to get to know the person, and we can talk about the company or the product or service or whatever it is anytime. I want to get to know the person to see if that's going to be a good fit for me from a standpoint of certainly integrity, trustworthiness, things like that. And certainly for people who are wanting to learn. And quite frankly, I have to applaud you for this. Carolyn, every time anything comes up about learning something new or trying something new or pushing a button or whatever it is, you really are just about the first one ever to go, I'll try it. And you do it. And I'm just, you're a beautiful inspiration to a lot of us.
Oh, thank you. I hadn't appreciated that point.
Absolutely. And I see also on your Zoom background, because of course I'm watching everything you do, no pressure. Literally, it says book me. And I
Yeah.
happen to know that's your Calendly link. And
Mm.
that is the coolest thing ever because we get to schedule a Carolyn's Chit Chat right from your calendar. And then the time zone is already converted. And that makes
Yeah,
it so fantastic and so easy to actually be able to be on your show. How much does it actually cost to be on a Carolyn's Chit Chat?
but free.
Free. Wow. Okay. And so once you are on a one-on-one with someone, what's the next step? Besides, you don't have to tell us about the question, but what's the next step? How would we ever see our very own podcast again?
Okay, so it would then I would then load it onto YouTube, and then I would then copy that across to featured posts on LinkedIn, and then I would create. So when I tend to put a post out on a Friday and a Monday, so the post would be scheduled, and I've got some to schedule. And I would then put the link into comments. I would say in the post I've had a chit chat with, and I would tag the person. I would then put my business page in there. I would have a few hashtags at the bottom and in comments, because LinkedIn doesn't like you going across to another platform from their own platform, so they don't shove the or don't escalate the posts, or they don't, yes, so I suppose escalate the posts.
Yes.
And so I put the link in comments, so people can go to comments, and that's a call to action on my LinkedIn post to say that the link for the video is in comments, and also it can be found on my featured posts. And I have changed that because somebody was struggling to find how to get to view the video, because they were clicking on featured post, which I hashtagged, and they were getting nowhere, which was quite because I automatically assumed people would go onto my featured posts and have a look, but lo and behold, people haven't been. So that's why it's changed, and that's only since the beginning or the tail end of last week.
My goodness. Okay. Because I definitely have taken a look at your featured post. Plus, I, of course, went a few steps further and went to your YouTube channel and took the magic three dots that we love to talk about and saved our podcast, Carolyn's Chit Chat with Me, on to my own YouTube channel, and then added that playlist to my featured post of LinkedIn. For any of you who are listening to this going, what is a featured post? What is the algorithm? What is the traffic? What is the YouTube channel? What is the three dots? What does the tagging mean? What is the hashtag? Please come to a posting party, because then you'll get to see Carolyn in person on Zoom, in person on a Monday morning and Monday afternoon for our UK friends. And you'll get to learn a little bit more about what some of the things that we're talking about. And I love that piece.
Yes, it's great. And I've just while we were chatting, I was just having a look, and my views are 11,131.
All right, seriously. And just like we talk about all the time, we all start at one view, two view, three view, and look what's happened. And that I just, like I say, I'm screaming inside because I am so thrilled that you said yes to Kurt Roscoff, to go to Steve Ramona's
Yeah.
training, and then to be able to continue on as you are. Plus, the biggest thing for me is always edification, and to be able to edify people on your Carolyn's Chit Chat and share your podcast across the globe. So we can all get to meet all these new friends is the coolest thing ever. Now, Carolyn, I know that you are great at inviting people to events, and you invite a lot of people to our posting party. You invited me to one of the wellness groups that's actually hosted in the UK, but the time zone piece worked out great for me, and it's once a month, and I'm able to meet your friends, many friends from across the globe, also at a wellness event, which rocks my world. Tell me a little bit about the networking piece of what you do as far as connecting people, because you're great at it.
Well, I hadn't appreciated I was that great at it, but it's my normal, so it doesn't seem to be anything other than my normal. So an event would come up, and I think people should learn more about how to do things. I see so many people posting, and well, I wonder how the person's going to notice that they've posted on that post. So I invited a few people that I've noticed do that, and oh, why have you invited me? Well, I just thought it might be helpful. And so yes, whether they come or not is a totally different matter, of course. But I do invite people because I think education is important. Because if you don't educate people, they're not going to know. If you don't give feedback, so I always give feedback, whether it's negative or positive. If I'm going out to eat somewhere, and perhaps something wasn't quite right, and I will point it out, because if you don't know the negatives, then how are you going to write it? So yes, I always give feedback, and I'm getting good feedback from my podcast, but in turn giving back and educating people to learn more. So yes, there are a lot of people that don't do it quite right, and it makes you think. When you see a post, you think, oh, how are they going to know that you've somebody's replied to that? And I do the same on Facebook now as well. I always tag somebody, and I get asked in a private mail, why are you trying to show off? I'm not. I'm just showing somebody that I replied.
Good for you. And
So
I
yeah.
seriously love that because we call it knock on the door. And the
Mm,
reason for that is I'm alerting you that I'm actually in your office commenting on your post so that you won't miss it.
yeah.
And so I love that. Well, I definitely appreciate you being on Kathy Chat. And like I say, when we finally got this scheduled, I was like, ta-da, I get to do this today.
Yeah,
I'm so
me
excited.
too.
Before we say goodbye though, I want to give you the chance to say anything that you want to all of our friends watching or listening, certainly on the replay, that maybe people don't know about you or they haven't learned about you yet. Just something else that you'd like to add before we say goodbye.
I used to crew for a friend who was a hot air balloon pilot.
Okay, I actually never knew that, my friend. And so
Oh,
now
well, there you go.
hot air balloons are going to be all over my Zoom link from now on. I
Yeah,
love that.
no, great fun. I used to. She was great, and it was always fascinating because she had propane to heat her house, and propane is what you put into a cylinder to fly a balloon. And she always used more in the summer than the winter, and they could never work out why she was heating her house more in the summer than winter. And it wasn't until that somebody asked her and said, "Why are you using more propane in the summer?" And she said, "It's for my balloon."
Wow. I
Yeah.
never ever knew that. And how long ago were you on the crew for hot air balloons?
Um, I think it probably it was sort of it was twice I did it, I think. I'm trying to think back. It would have been after I would it was it before? I think it was after I walked out of my marriage. Um, so it was 2011.
So you were definitely on an adventuresome role at that point.
Yes, and I'm really trying to think back. Yeah, it was great. And we did all sorts of things. We flew somebody out of their wedding, and
Oh, now that is awesome. Oh, I love
yeah.
that already. How many years did you do this?
Oh, I can't remember. A number of years. Yeah, a
Okay.
number of years. Yeah. Yeah, there's been a few adventures in the balloon and crewing and doing things for other people. And yeah, going over to flying in Ireland and landing in bogs and all sorts of things. Yeah. Yes, I've got lots of stories to tell.
You definitely do. I never knew anything about the hot air balloon adventures, and I think that is fascinating. Once again, my friend, you are multifaceted, extreme, and I think the best way to find out about people personally is certainly having a one-on-one conversation. But you and I have been able to take that a few thousand steps further by being able to do podcasts and featuring our friends on these calls. And I seriously appreciate you so much. And I love the fact that you were able to be on Kathy Chat today.
Thank you so much. It's been absolutely brilliant to be here. And I've been longing to come on here. So it's been brilliant. And thank you so much.
You're welcome so much. My friends, please take a look and watch the replay and keep an eye on Carolyn's Chit Chat. If you'd like to be on Carolyn's Chit Chat also, I'm sure she would love to have you. So zoom up and click on and QR code and read your QR code with your camera, and you'll be able to schedule your Carolyn's Chit Chat right here from the Calendly link. Once again, talk about brilliant. She's got all the bases covered. Carolyn, I thank you 1,000,000% for being here today.
Thank you again.
Bye now, my friends. We'll see you
Bye.
next on Kathy Chat.